Драги гледачи, изборите, локалните избори се набрзо, а денеска имам чест да разговарам со шефот на посматрачката мисија на ОПСЕ, Одир, британскиот дипломат, амбасадор Одри Гловер, амбасадорка со долгогодишно искуство, кариерен дипломат, која кариерата ја градела токму во ова организација за мониторирање на изборите. Madam Glover, it's my pleasure to have you in this interview and to speak about next local elections in Macedonia. You're such a diplomat with such a great career, and particularly in this organization. That means that these elections are very important not only for the country, but for OSCE ODIHR as well. What is the role of your organization during these elections?
Well, the ODIHR mission here is to look at the whole of the electoral process and procedure and to assess the activities of everyone who is involved in the election against the commitments that all the participating states of the OSCE have agreed to abide by. So we're looking at the election from the voter registration point of view, the candidate registration, the operation of the various electoral bodies, like the State Election Commission at the municipal level, and the election boards, and we're watching all this with our core team staff and with the long-term observers that we have, and also with the short-term observers who come in just before election day to watch the voting.
So when actually the process for you is started, you've been chosen to lead this mission, and how was the process of preparation for before you come here in Macedonia?
Well, people in the core team apply to be part of an election observation mission, and then when we have been selected, the office in Warsaw, the ODIHR, will start sending us information, and of course we ourselves use our own initiative to find out about the country and the situation before we come here. So we do have some briefing before we come, but obviously it's important to be in the country, on the ground, to be able to talk to the politicians and the candidates and the NGOs and the people in the street as well, so to get a complete picture, because we're concerned about the voters. Do they have the opportunity to make a choice between different candidates who themselves have the opportunity to inform the public about their platforms, and then are they able to vote in secret and make sure that their vote is counted accurately and have confidence in the whole system? It's the voter that we're in a way really interested in, and how they are going to be able to make a choice.
Free choice.
A free choice. No incitements, free choice.
Yes. You've been in many countries, let's say various countries with specific environment and political systems, like Tanzania, Mongolia, or whatever. So what was important to know about Macedonia for you, and to share that experience to your team?
Well, I think we have all looked at reports from previous elections, because this is the 16th election that the ODIHR will have been observing in this country. So obviously we've been looking at the reports, the final reports, which are public documents from previous elections, to give us an idea of the political background, which is important. But each election is different. I mean, we regard each election as a complete entity on its own, and so we don't compare one election with another election, but obviously for background information it's important to know what has happened before.
Can you tell us what is the number of observers on your mission?
Of course. There are 16 of us in the core team, and we're based here in Skopje, but we do tend to go out and about the country, because what you read as in a report needs to be given some life, and so you do need to go to various parts of the country, as possible as it might be, in order to be able to get the feel of what's happening in a place. But we are actually based here, and our media monitoring unit, which is a very important part of the core team, is obviously based here too. Although we have long-term observers who go out in the field, and they, of course, are getting information at a local level about the election administration, the local media, etc., attending rallies, and they're busy in the field. And there's 20 of those, and they are in pairs around the country. And then just before election day, we're having 209 short-term observers.
209.
Yes, short-term observers who are coming from the participating states, and they will be here. And also we have a few people from the Council of Europe Local Government Congress. They're coming as well. And they obviously will be in the polling stations to watch the counting, the voting, the counting, and the tabulation. And they have forms that they fill in, and these forms are sent here, and then we have statisticians who look at them, and that gives us a reading for various aspects of the electoral process.
So 209, altogether 300 probably.
Well,
is it enough to to have credible mission?
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yes. I mean, no problem. I mean, we have, as I say, we have our long-term observers. There are 10 of them around the country covering various aspects, and then the short-term observers will come in and will be attached, so to speak, to the long-term observer groups, and certainly that will be enough to cover the whole country.
For us as a journalist, we have a kind of hotspots in the country, and usually we are going over there to monitor what's going on the ground. Do you have any such hotspots?
Well, we don't have any
to particular pay attention. No.
Hotspots at the moment, and obviously long-term and short-term observers are free to choose where they wish to go to observe. I mean, we certainly would never just observe hotspots, because that would not give a balanced view of the electoral, and we need to have a balanced view, because what happens in one part of the country obviously is different from another, but we need to balance this all out. But if, of course, during the course of the day, a team might hear that there's some problem somewhere, then of course they would try and go and look at it. But we're not just looking at hotspots, we're looking at the whole country.
We had some incidents in relation with these local elections. After that, European Union and American Embassy reacted and called upon political parties to organize safe elections, but also, in particular Americans, they called media to register and to send reports to your organization about any possible abuse of electoral code and so on. Do you have any such information from the media or NGOs about the...
No, I wouldn't say so, not at this point in time. I mean, we tend to operate on our, by ourselves, so to speak. We have to be seen to be, and we are impartial. Yes, we are impartial, and we always let the facts speak for themselves. So we obviously are interested in facts, but we have our own teams who are in and around and about the countryside, and we rely on them for giving us information. I mean, it's always interesting to hear different things, but we rely on ourselves, and anything else that we hear or learn is sort of additional to that. But we are self-sufficient, so to speak, because we have our own media, monitoring, as I mentioned, and we have our own security people, and etc. And we have our own experts and analysts. So we're really self-sufficient. So we, as I say, we're always interested to hear other things, but we like to really, look at a situation for ourselves and find out for ourselves.
I think will be interesting for our viewers to know why this mission, observation mission, is separated from permanent mission of OSCE based in Skopje.
No, we're part of the OSCE family, but we have totally different mandates. I mean, as you say, the permanent mission is here all the time, and they're helping the country with its democratization program to a large extent, and also has a monitoring mission. But we are here to observe the election, and I underline the word observe, because we're not election police. We don't interfere. Should we see something in a polling station not quite going as it should be, we don't interfere. We just observe and note and report. So that's what our mission is, to observe elections. And as I say, our mandate is different from theirs. But of course, I mean, we know each other and exchange, meetings.
Macedonia is part of OSCE, is a member in the Council of Europe, and usually they will call upon your organization to come and to monitor the elections. So how is the attitude by Macedonian government towards your organization so far?
Oh, they've been very helpful. I mean, we've seen the foreign minister, the prime minister, very open and friendly, and the cooperation is good. It always has been. We also have people at the State Election Commission almost all day, every day. Whenever there's a meeting, they're called in, so they observe that too. So the cooperation is good, definitely. Yes.
So we can say that the environment is not hostile, but it's friendly.
To us?
And, yeah.
No, not at all. No, not at all hostile. No. We've encountered no hostility so far. No.
So will come also observers from the Council of Europe. Probably some European parliamentarians will come.
Well, this is a local election, and for some reason parliamentarians tend not to come to local elections. I think that's slightly unfortunate, because I think local elections are very important, because this is where the voter has the chance to talk to candidates and let them know exactly what is troubling them at a local level. But we, as I said, we are having people from the Council of Europe Congress for local government and local communities. So we are having some representation from the Council of Europe. And I'm sure the European Union will be obviously observing on election day too. Yeah.
So usually you are coming out with the preliminary report.
You're right.
So that's actually on the
day after the election.
Yes.
We have a press conference, and we come out with a report. And in fact, tomorrow our interim report is being published, and I'm sure we can make sure you can have a copy of it if you would like to do so. And that gives you just a bit of information about what we've been doing, any issues that we're particularly following, and you'll see that tomorrow.
At this moment, you're not going to give any detailed information about the electoral process?
Not
or
really.
Campaigning or...
Not really, because one needs to see the whole process, and you can't really get a true picture at this point in time. You really have to see the whole thing. I mean, the voter register may be good, but you won't know until election day as to how good it really is. So you can't just take a little snapshot and halfway through the process. You really do have to see the whole thing. It's very important.
Actually trying not to be very visible or to give a sentiment that OSCE or DIR is meddling
exactly
into the process.
No, exactly. That's what we want.
Which will be not good, because the idea is every single voters to have a chance for a free choice.
Exactly, absolutely. No, we certainly would never wish to influence voters in any way. And so, as I say, we look from the very beginning until the last complaint and appeal has been settled. So we really do need to have the whole picture. And as we were saying, at the press conference the day after the election is just our preliminary conclusions that we will be giving, and the final report will come out about 2 months later. Maybe a bit later with Christmas, I don't know, but it will be about 2 months later.
I will ask you a direct question because I have some knowledge that some of the reports by OSCE ODIHR are pretty much politically motivated in some countries. I will not speak about Macedonia. You are chief of this mission, and many things will be, how to say, depends on your observation, on your attitude. How is it possible to avoid that political color in the...
Yeah, I'm surprised you say that the reports are political, because we usually try to make them absolutely impartial. I mean, this is what we pride ourselves on, that we come to an election without any fixed ideas or agenda, and very open. And as I say, we let the facts speak for themselves. But it's not just me. I'm working here with a team, and we all work together, so it's not any one person's view or assessment. We take it all together as a team, and I emphasize the importance of working in a team, and I think it's extremely important. We're all on equal terms and level, and we're all working together, so everyone's view is important. And so, as I say, you know, we make sure that our reports are impartial.
That's very good to know, and I will ask you something like, maybe it's not directly related to these elections, but what do you think about Catalonia referendum? Is that any space for OSCE or ODIHR to interfere in that?
Well, I mean, they would never interfere unless asked. So, I mean, the ODIHR would not do or say anything in relation to that unless they were asked to address it. Yeah.
So it's not an issue for the organization?
No. Well, I mean, it conceivably could be if they were asked to do something. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Spain is a participating state, but certainly the ODIHR would never do anything unless they were asked by the government to do it. Yeah.
For every elections, NGO sector or civil sector is also very important. They can motivate, they can explain the ideas, the laws. And do you have good relations and cooperation with
our election
NGOs?
analysts, yes, definitely have, yeah, with most civil and some others, yes.
Are there any, let's say, alarms that you have to pay attention to some issues by NGO? Are there?
Well, they would discuss with us, you know, what their assessment of a situation might be, and we would take that into account when we're making our own. Yeah.
Now, many citizens didn't know that the elections are not only 15th of October, or actually the electoral day, but it's a whole process. I will ask you, as a final message, what is important for every single voter to know and to do at this moment and on the day of elections?
Well, as I say, we are hoping that the voters, the people in this country will go and vote, and that they will be able to vote freely, and that they will be safe in the knowledge that their vote will be kept secure and counted. And it's important that voters have confidence in the whole electoral process.
And of course, for many people, many politicians, local elections are very important, maybe more important than the parliamentarian elections. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think, yes, as I said before, I think local elections are very important, because this is where you get a direct connection between the voter and the candidates, because voters are very concerned in local elections that the issues that they have can be sorted, you know, in relation to sewage collection, you know, rubbish dump, etc., etc., fresh water. You know, this is something that's very important for the average individual on a daily basis. So for them, a local election is the opportunity to talk to the candidates and to make sure that their views and interests are taken account of.
You personally and your team probably you scan very good the electoral system, the electoral laws. Do you think that the framework is
is
good
there.
guarantor for free elections?
The framework is certainly there. What it depends on is the implementation, and the implementation of an electoral framework is very much up to the will of the political parties.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.